This is the KJ Singh Show with your host, KJ Singh. A lot of us who are politically aware know that our mainstream politicians are either centrist or right-wing. There's very little, representation in terms of progressives and the true left. And I'm not talking about, the far left in terms of those who are communist, but at least those who are in favour of a precautionary, a cautious view with regards to war, a left that is against genocide, apartheid, a left that is for a system that works for everyone. And, what we have in our society is you got centrists who purport to be leftists, but they're not really leftists. They are right-wingers, but with a smile, basically. They share a lot of the things in common. And why am I saying this? Because I'm going to show you a debate clip between a scholar, an esteemed scholar on the Israel-Gaza, and it's many decades, it's 75 years, Professor Norman Finkelstein, and he's debating a Twitch streamer who's a centrist liberal by the name of Destiny. Now, you can see quite clearly that this Destiny fella already thinks he knows what the answers are because he's gotten his answers from a right-wing fascist state. And I want you to watch this through to the end because I'm going to show you why exactly, a centrist like Destiny feels like he already has the answers.
When they killed the 4 kids even though they were diminutive size.
You've lied about this particular instance in the past. Those kids weren't just on the beach, as is often stated in articles. Those kids were literally coming out of a previously identified Hamas compound that they had operated from.
With all due respect, you're such a fantastic moron. It's terrifying. That wharf was filled with journalists. There were tens, scores of journalists. That was an old fisherman's shack. What are you talking about? It's so painful.
Hamas naval.
It's so painful to listen to this idiocy.
So as you can see, this Destiny fella was ragdolled in this conversation. But it's not for, without a good reason, because Norman Finkelstein clearly gives the argument whilst he's ragdolling him. It appears that this Destiny fella has taken the propaganda points from this apartheid state, hook, line, and sinker. Now, why is that? Why would you accept at face value what the state that is, committing the atrocities, and why would you simply just, not question it? Especially if you are a contrarian, a debate lord Twitch streamer. Well, it appears that Destiny already made his mind up on the situation, the Israel-Gaza, it was called a conflict at one point, but it's really, a genocide on Gaza. Well, it's because Destiny already made his mind up even prior to reading up about it. You see, in October, when the war of genocide was inflicted on the Gazan people, it appeared that Destiny already decided, or he wished to happen, on Gaza. Take a listen to this.
Honestly, I'm pro-genocide. It sounds really shitty, but I think that Israel should just draw up its fucking borders about where it is now, and basically Palestinians can go live in another place. That's really shitty, but that's about where I'm at.
So clearly he already, prior to reading up on the facts of the situation and, prior to reading up on this debate with Norman Finkelstein, he already had in mind what he wished to happen, which was a genocide. And now, whilst the same country he wants to support is committing a genocide, he denies that a genocide is happening. See what is happening? Centrists behind closed doors, because of course he doesn't want this clip to be shared widely, and if If you can do me a favor, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video, because this isn't a clip that is easy to find. The reason, he doesn't want to share his personal views, and he wants to keep it behind closed doors. In the same way that Tony Blair doesn't want to, make the world aware of the fact that he, behind closed doors, knew that there wasn't a serious threat with regards to weapons of mass destruction when he went to war in Iraq. And by that same token, Destiny and people like Tony Blair, centrists, they're essentially far right when it comes to their, consideration for human lives. They are far right when it comes to humanitarian values, because they don't really consider humanitarian values as a priority as the left do or progressives do. For them, it's about being front and center of the power balance. This is the reason why Malcolm X said, the white the liberal, the moderate is more dangerous, because they will pretend to be your friend, but then they will turn their back on you, because the moderate or the centrist liberal, they only make these platitudes in order to gain power. But once they've gained power and they're on that high horse, they can then prioritize another power balance at play here. They will only disagree with the far right if it doesn't if for example it benefits them in terms of their career and their politics. But essentially, as we've seen in for example the Social Democratic Party in Germany, they supported the rise of the far right, essentially by destroying and subverting the power of the left-wing parties. So it appears that for them the aesthetics or the sense of being a practical party or practical politician is more important than actually doing the right thing. And we see this with Keir Starmer. When the war broke out, or the war of genocide broke out, Keir Starmer said, yes, Israel did have the right to cut off water, power, electricity. So when you combine all this together, you can see that, centrists don't actually care about doing the right thing. They will do whatever is beneficial, that will benefit them in their rise to power. Likewise, someone like Destiny, he's amassing a huge audience, and someone like also Deepak, otherwise known as, or rather his full name is David Pacman. You will find that they make some really strange arguments in favor of this war or that war, or may not they may not criticize the center parties as they should. Because for them, it's about preservation of the status quo, and by preserving status quo against a very crazy right wing, the more crazy the right wing is, the more the centrists feel like they have power, because at least they can push away the right wing, but also push away any left wing power that's rising, at a grassroots level, because they can tell the left, oh, you know what, you guys are, not being pragmatic enough. Whereas, and also they could appeal to the optics of the right wing and say, actually, you guys are acting like fascists. So really, ultimately, the right wing is, obviously crazy, but in effect, the centrists generally help the rise of the right wing by being ineffectual. They don't really, for them it's about maintaining the status quo, which is to the detriment to the everyday person, who is just, who is being affected by the system. And when you are disadvantaged by the system, whether it's, austerity, whether it's poverty, whether it's, high taxation for everyone, just so that the super rich can get away with, low taxes, then, everyone looks at the centrist party as if, they're just bureaucrats. They're just pro-establishment, politicians like Keir Starmer, like Joe Biden, who are completely useless when it comes to what really needs to be done. But what we really need in politics is a pro-truth, progressive party that benefits the everyday person, just so, and that would benefit and also prevent the rise of the far right, because of course you won't have a huge amass of dispossessed people and disillusioned people who are looking elsewhere to try and gain some sort of or try and appeal to who are trying to appeal to marginalized people. The reason why the far right rises in power, because of course the centrists have just subverted, have repressed and suppressed the rise of any progressive movement that would be beneficial to everyone. That is pro-life in a pro-life not in a form of abortion, but in terms of just pro-life in terms of benefiting people for the sake of benefiting them, rather than being obsequious to a power structure at play. Instead of just preserving the status quo, preserving the establishment, just so that those who are benefiting from the establishment can just go on with their merry lives, whilst everyone else is just struggling. And in a cost of living crisis, it's the centrists who want to maintain the system, or who want to make the smallest little adjustments to and make huge announcements that they're benefiting the people, not really actually benefiting people in a meaningful sense. And the right wing are basically their whole meat and potatoes is to appeal to some sort of marginalized group, or rather appeal to use a marginalized group as a scapegoat, whether it's asylum seekers, whether it's the Israel-Gaza war. You can talk about Islamic fundamentalists, extremists. The centrists can say, okay, look. Genocide is bad, but how about a little bit of genocide? Or like, look. Yes, what's happening in Israel is bad, right? Yes, but as a pragmatic person, even though that is, from the ground up is a system of apartheid, I will support them with every breath that I have, because I'm about supporting the establishment. It'd be radical, too radical if we were to enforce, equality. And yeah, that's my Keir Starmer impression, which I'm trying to hone. But yeah, so really, this was, I'm going to do more videos on the actual debate itself, but essentially I wanted to highlight these two clips to show you how centrists are really just right-wingers in disguise, but they want to use the illusion of respectability and politeness and just not being demonic as their route to power. And then once they disappoint the masses, then they can leave to their own merry devices. Then let the far right, regain power, because that's what in there invariably happens. Just as what happened with Donald Trump, just as what happened with the Conservative Party, and with the Conservative Party's rise of Nigel Farage. And I'm not, things are not looking too good after, Biden doesn't look too good, and Keir Starmer, we can already preemptively assess that, he's not going to be a good leader because he's a pledge breaker. He's not charming at all. He's, he's a career man. You can say that he's a man of hard work. Perhaps you could say that. We could say he's somewhat practical, but he's doing it for his own career ends, not rather the benefit of the country and its people. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated.